friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about some Halloween-ish plants. None of these plants are scary. I think most plants aren't scary, but they're a little bit kooky, weird, spooky, kind of unconventional sort of plants, and I thought it'd be interesting to share them with you today. But first, I think my background needs a little bit of a Halloween spruce, so let me jazz it up for us. There we go. Got my little cat ears on. Yes, these are all the same decorations from my last Halloween video with Claire, but yay, spooky. My favorite's this one. It's a plant stake that is a little skeleton hand giving a thumbs up. It's almost like my little logo, but in skeleton form. So yeah, we're just gonna enjoy the minimal spookiness. There's also some candles in there, and you really can't tell because it's daytime. So yeah, we will enjoy my spooky plants in a mostly unspooky way. If you are new here and you don't know me already, my name is Emma and I make houseplanty content all over the internet, so if you want to follow along with my houseplanty journey and like maybe learn something along the way, stick around, watch some more of my videos, and subscribe to my channel. If you're not new here and you're joining me again, welcome back. Hi, thank you, I very much appreciate you. Let's get into these interesting, weird, different sort of plants. So the first plant I want to talk about is the Alocasia Brancifolia Pink Passion. And honestly, this plant is so interesting because I don't think I would have known it was an Alocasia if I hadn't been told. Its leaves are like much more sort of almost philodendron-y, kind of like the Xanadu or the Shangri-La, sort of really fingerly, kind of like Alocasia Jacqueline. That's the closest I can think of to this plant, but it is just so weird in its growth. I mean, it grows, the stems are very Alocasia-y, like these look like sort of pinky Zebrina stems, and it grows from bulbs, same as an Alocasia, but it, like, these leaves just confuse me so much. It is not like any Alocasia I have ever seen before, and that's what kind of drew me to it. It was just so different and weird. And also, this new leaf came out since I've had it, and oh my goodness, it looks like a freaking mummy as it's unfurling because it already has all these little, like, I don't even know what we call these, lobes? If anyone knows the technical term for these sort of sticky outy bits, let me know down below in the comments. I would like to learn. But it already had all of these bits, so it looked like it was all wrapped up and like kind of curly and funky and weird, and I really enjoyed watching it unfurl. And I've actually just recently put this in pawn. That video should be up already. I will link it in the clickable eye. But yeah, I just recently put it in pawn, and I think it's adapting really well. I've not seen any like signs that it might be going downhill, but it's just such a funky plant, and I am so glad I have it in my collection. I feel like I hadn't seen anything at all similar to this ever. It's just very uncommon, and it's not something that you would go into like a random plant shop and you'd be able to find. I feel like it's kind of niche and odd and interesting, and that's why it is the first plant in this video. Oh my goodness, I just love it so much. Oh, it's so pretty. Oh my goodness. Okay. I love all these plants, just saying. They're all really cool. So next up we have a Philodendron Joepii, which I, until like 2 days ago, always pronounced as Joepii because that's how it's spelled, and my boyfriend's name is Joe, and so my brain reads Joepii rather than UPI, but I'm pretty sure it's UPI. Please correct me if I'm saying it wrong, but I just recently got this very baby one. It is tiny. You can, like, it looks pretty average as a plant here, but oh my goodness, let me show you what it freaking looks like when it's mature. It is freaking insane, and I'm so excited to like own one of these plants. Like, their leaves are so strange. They sort of grow these like very, very alien-y sort of leaves that stick out at the top. They've got like lobes at the top, but then they come down and they kind of violin out at the bottom. And they're really, really like, it's a really, really harsh sort of leaf shape. I've never seen anything like that before. I mean, here's a bunch of really weird leaf shape, lobed philodendron. And the Joepii is the one at the top corner. But, oh, the one in the middle is, what is that? Warsawasisi. That's what my Alocasia reminds me of. But, yeah, they're just so intense. They look, I don't, there's nothing that they look like. I can't even describe it properly because they look so different. It's almost like a spade with like a weird handle on it. And I cannot wait for my little tiny one to start growing into the funky plant that I know it can be. I know mine is like such a baby compared to these, like, but oh my goodness, it's going to be a good day when mine starts to lobe. Look at those ruffles on that one as well. Oh my goodness. Joepii. Joepii. There we go. This guy's telling me how to pronounce it. Thank you. Terry Pet. I really appreciate it. But yeah, like, see, even the immature ones, so they start off and they kind of go into the spade shape, and then eventually they get those sort of like top lobe bits, which are really cool. So I'm really, really looking forward to seeing how this one progresses, because right now it's pretty regular leaf shape up in here. Nothing that exciting, but hopefully next summer I might get some leaves that are looking a little bit more Joepii-ish, funky and interesting and weird and strange. I've never had a philodendron that looked like this before or anything similar. I don't really think I have many lobed philodendron at all. I've got a Florida Ghost. Nothing this extreme in its lobiness, and I've been really jealous of Claire's code 69686, which is kind of like this but a little bit softer version of the sort of crazy lobiness. They're just so freaking cool, and I am so blessed to have this plant, and I am really excited about it. Next up, we have my Stephania Erecta, which I know I've shown you guys a lot recently because it was in my blue plants video, but this is just so freaking weird. I can't believe that I grew this essentially from just this weird potato looking thing this year. This is the second year I have grown one of these from the bulb. Well, this one, exactly this one. And it still baffles me. I think it is so surreal watching it go from like this weird moon potato with like a crater in it. Where's the crater? There. Moon potato crater into this really, really long single vine, which I should probably learn how to trim it and prune it to make it nice, but single vine with these like very lily pad UFO leaves on them. And it's just like, I don't think someone who's not a planty person would go into a plant shop and just see this potato thing and be like, yeah, I'm gonna get that. Even if it has leaves in it, I don't think they would like think, oh yeah, this is gonna be the plant for me. It's just very odd and a fun time, really. I'm surprised mine is still doing so well. I probably will need to cut this off at some point and let it go till next year, but I think I might see how long it lasts living in the artificial environment of my home, because if I don't have to cut it, that would be really cool. But it's kind of like really long and awkward, so it just, I let it trail down, which I don't think is how you're meant to let Stephania Erecta grow. I think they're supposed to grow erect. But mine's a little bit leggy because it started off with a bit of a gap in there, so that's fine. Next up, we have a Fishbone Cactus. So I have kind of included this plant because it has fishbone, like bone, spooky Halloween, in its name, but also just the way it grows, this sort of ziggy-zaggy, up and down, left and right sort of growth is so different to what I picture when I think of a cactus. And I know this is a jungle cactus, and it's living so freaking well, living its best life. Oh, candle. It's living so well, like its very best life in the cabinet, which I was always really like weirded out by. I don't feel like cacti have a place in the cabinet, but I think I don't know nearly enough about jungle cacti, and I think that's something that I want to explore down the line, because I think this is such a cool plant. It's just so random in its growth, and I really don't understand it. And it's got like these little spikies on here, very thin ones, but then up here it's got like aerial roots growing. I just really don't understand this plant, and I'm looking forward to seeing how big it's gonna grow. It has grown quite a lot for me since I've had it. I got it a couple months ago in my plant swap with Claire, and it is doing so well in the cabinet. And I just think it is such a strange looking little thing. I'll try and get a video from Claire of hers as well, because hers is huge and it's like very much so zigzaggy, like so much more than mine. Mine's just a very tiny baby compared to hers, but it is just a really interesting, weird plant. I don't think I'll ever understand it because it's just so strange, but I absolutely love it, and I'm excited that I am trying something new and expanding my horizons with it. We gotta try things. Next up, we have the Cissus Discolor, which, oh my goodness, I love this plant so much. Can we focus on it? There we go. But I love this plant so much. So like, not only does it have really dark foliage, like almost black and purple and silver, it also grows so differently to any of my other plants. It is like insanely viney, like so viney, and it grows very quickly compared to a lot of other plants I have. And it's got these like tendrils on it. Can you see those up there? These used to be wrapped around something else. I think they were wrapped around my Scindapsus Tribute Moonlight vines, but they kind of put out these little hands. Let me see if I can show you this. They kind of put out these little tendril hands. You see how it's split there? Those just go around and they just like grab onto things and start twisting themselves around to try and climb up it, which I think is so interesting and weird and cool. And they just like use other things for support, which is very fun, much different to any other plants I have. I suppose you could cut the tendrils off, and like down at the bottom where I've pulled them off of things and where their plant is a bit more established, they dry out, which is completely normal. But up at the top, they're still very much living and in the sort of spirally little trying to grab onto something pieces, which I think is really fun. And also it very much grows towards the light, so it is a very one-sided plant. So if you have yours on a pole that you want to be at 360, you should rotate your plant, because otherwise it will grow very much so front-facing, which I don't mind because I have mine up against a wall and I'm perfectly happy with where it's living. This is actually, I think, the second or maybe third Cissus Discolor that I've had. They are super duper fragile. I have found that they're not easy to kill, but very sensitive. I've gotten them both through the mail previously, and it has taken a little bit to get going and get started, but once they get going, they start growing like absolutely crazy. I swear I put this on the pole when it was like there, and now it's pretty much at the top, and these tiny leaves that start out so small are going to grow into leaves probably about this size, if not a bit bigger. They do like expand massively as they're growing, which is super fun. And I've also got like a new bit down there, which is very green, surprisingly green, but also super cute. It's a bit exciting and fun and different and weird and spooky darky black, because also the backs of the leaves, look at those blood red backs. Spooky. So this next plant, it's a pretty common one. None of these are like rare plants by any means. They're all fairly accessible. You can find them online. This one in particular you can find in almost any plant shop, and it is a Hoya Linearis. And I don't think this plant is inherently weird, but I think if you think about it in the context of Hoyas, also known as wax plants, you're like, how is this related? Like, compared to a typical sort of carnosa that you would find, this is the most different plant I could possibly think of. Instead of having really waxy, leathery leaves, this one has like fuzzy needles instead, which is so strange. Like, I don't know if you can even see the sort of hair on them, but they're just so soft, and they tendril, but they're very much a hanging down. I don't think I've ever seen a Hoya Linearis climbing up or on a trellis. I don't think that would suit them, but it's just something that goes very much against the rules of Hoya. Not that there's like rules, but there's kind of rules to plants and like how they grow. And I feel like this one is just saying that, like, I don't need your rules. I'm going to grow how I want to grow, and it's going to be weird and it's going to be fun. And that is why I love this plant. Mine is very small. I'm really looking forward to it growing super duper well. Hopefully next spring I'll have a nice big plant. I've grown this one from cuttings, and it has taken its sweet time. I've kind of been like cutting it and then forgetting it, so that probably hasn't helped, but it is slowly growing, and like, I've got a long tendril there. It's getting there. It's just taking some time to grow into a big plant. Also, it's in like the tiniest pot ever, which is freaking cute. But yeah, I just find it so incredibly odd and different to what you would expect when you hear the name Hoya. So that is why I have included it on this list. Another weird growing plant I have, which it grows so much different to any other philodendrons I have, is my Philodendron Burle Marx Variegata. And I'm pretty sure the Burle Marx grows in the same way. But what's so weird about this plant is at every single node, going all the way up the stem, every single one, it creates 2 growth points. So it's got kind of the main stem of it growing, and then it'll put out another growth point, and then that growth point will grow. So it's like kind of like exponential growth. For every one node, there's 2 growth points, and they'll split and they each grow off into their own things. And like, that's why it's become so bushy already. I feel like normally my philodendrons, if I have them on a pole and I just have like one cutting of them, they look a little bit sparse, just because there's only one vine going up that pole. So like one set of leaves. But then this one, it's like, I'm gonna put out leaves every single thing, and I'm gonna divide myself in half every time, and it's gonna become a tree before I know it. I think by the time I get to the top of the pole, it's gonna be like out here, and there's gonna be so many vines that I'm gonna need to figure something else out for it. But it's just so odd. And also, like, its growth grows in really wildly. Like, so can you see that? This sort of stem just shoots off to the side and goes up, and then it looks like it's a mutated plant. Genuinely, I feel like it looks like a mutation, but I know it's not, and it's just how this one grows, and I love it. Also, I mean, like, look at this variegation. Normally, I'm not a yellow variegation person, you all know that, but this plant, for some reason, it just like takes that sort of principle in my brain, and it's like, no, this one's gorgeous. This one's like, I'm not gonna say one of my favorite philodendron, but like it's like up there on my list of philodendrons. If I had to rank them, this would be, I feel like, quite high, which is surprising because normally I'm like a dark velvety, like sexy, sultry, climbing, velvety, beautiful, dark philodendron person. But this is like very much so the opposite of that, and I'm surprised at how much I like it. But I freaking love this plant. Also, this is only like 6 months that I've had this cutting, and I got it as like a 1 or 2 leaf cutting, and it is just gone absolutely crazy, which I'm really pleased about. To be honest, I didn't think it was growing that well, and then suddenly it just popped, and now it's like boom, crazy. So I'm probably gonna have to, not quite yet, but pretty soon, fill up some more of this pole because it's going to need it like ASAP. So this next one is actually like a literal brand new plant. Like, I got it in the mail yesterday. I mean, I'm gonna tell you the story because I just feel so loved. But someone actually reached out to me after my, what was it, Blue Plants wishlist video, saying that they had an Alocasia platinum that had bulbs that had grown, and they wanted to give me one. And I was like, thank you so much. Are you sure you don't want to swap? And they were like, yes, positive. And I'm like, I really appreciate this. And so they were gonna send me the Alocasia platinum, and I opened the box and there were 2 plants inside, and this one was the other one. So this is an Epipremnum Shangri, I believe it's pronounced. And I have never ever ever had one of these before. They are so weird. Like, it is normal that this plant is this wrinkly. Like, they grow in these really weird wrinkly leaves, which, I mean, I'm fascinated by. I think they are so freaking cool. And of course mine is just a wee little baby in some pond, but it's got some amazing roots in there. I don't know if you can see those. But it is just so strange. And like, I've always seen them online and been like very confused by how they grow. Like, let me show you how they grow, because it's weird. This sort of really weird wrinkly growth is completely normal for them. Like, they always grow in this sort of really weird, twisted, warped way. This is actually a really good pot for this plant because it's like coming out of a cauldron, and I feel like these are very spooky, kind of witchy vibes, like a bit mutated and weird and just really funky. And like, they look like a plant that's gone wrong, like that they're mutated and something bad has happened with them, but at the same time they're just so cool. Like, it looks like dried up leaves all like coming out. I really love it, and I'm so like, I feel so grateful. Thanks, Carrie, for sending this to me. But I feel so freaking grateful that I have this plant, because I genuinely don't even understand it yet. I'm giving it brand new to me. But I mean, if it's an Epipremnum, y'all know how much I love Epipremnums. I'm gonna be able to grow this like no other. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing how this one grows in its little weirdo way. Such a freaking weirdo. I love it. And then last but certainly not least, this is probably one of my favorite plants in this entire video. It is my Scindapsus snake scale. Oh my goodness. Do y'all see this plant? So this is one that I actually got in my greenhouse order, and it is a shingling Scindapsus, which I am so not used to. I'm used to my traily ones. I'm trying to train one to climb a moss pole, but like, they don't shingle like this. This is a shingling plant, like almost like the Monstera dubia, and it just clings to the substrate underneath. Like, it is really clinging on under there, and I'm so lucky that I've been able to get it to root. I've heard that they can be quite a struggle if they're not like growing well, but mine has rooted super nicely. Like, look at those roots in there. So cool. And it's even put out a bit of new growth. I am like, this bit hasn't shingled yet, so I don't know. I need to see how it grows. I wonder if it will, because this is grown from, is it a new growth point? No, it's the old growth point, I think. Oh my god, there's so many roots in here. This is gonna be fun to get off of this moss. But yeah, it's put out a new leaf for me, which I'm super excited about. I am about to put this one on a plank. I'll probably be putting it on a plank in the next couple weeks because it's like at a good place to do that. I'm still deciding whether or not I want to put it on moss on a plank or just flat on the plank. I still need to do the research for that. I've been procrastinating on it, but I will, and I will be sure to take you all along with me in that. But I just think shingling plants are so weird. Like, I didn't really get them at first. I thought that they were like not a piece of me, but kind of after the dubia, once I like came around to it's sort of very flat, like scaling up the wall or plank or whatever you have it on, it just kind of, it is so beautiful. I really want one that's growing really well because mine's tiny. But this sort of shingly thing, I'm here for it. And I mean, it's a snake scale, like snakes are scary, right? Anyways, I love this plant. It's also like very textured. I didn't think I have ever felt this plant before, but each of those little like variegation dots is raised, so it's kind of, so it is scaly within itself and like bumpy and weird. I love it. I love it so much. But yeah, I'm just keeping this one in its perfect little framed box, but it's just standing up underneath the grow light like this. Hopefully I will get it on the plank soon and maybe into my new cabinet, but we will see. This is going to be a bit of an adventure, and I'll make sure to bring you all along it with me. So those are some of the weird, freaky, strange, spooky, interesting, mutated, but not actually mutated because that's how they actually grow, but they grow so different than their other relatives sort of plants. I'd be really curious to know what else you would include on this sort of list. Like, what's the weirdest plant in your collection? Because I'm always interested in finding some more interesting, odd, eerie, spooky kind of things. So let me know down below, and maybe I'll need to make a wish list of that too. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up down below and leave a comment on other houseplanty things you'd like me to talk about in the future, and subscribe for more. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Bye!